So it's going to go straight on to Jack, who may want to go on that message or may want to go in a different direction altogether. Who knows? We'll see. But I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
Well, I make no promises on the entertainment front. I'm actually quite boring. I was born in Southend. I'll give a really positive history for people who don't know who I am and what I do or what I've done. So I was born in Southend. I've lived here all my life, save for about an 18-month midlife crisis where I ran away to London, but I came back again. And my journey to this podium has been a bit of a roundabout one. From queuing at the Storehouse Food Bank in the middle of Quantock Flats to writing a couple of cookbooks to local politics to national politics and then back to my hometown. So I think the reason why I've been asked here today is because I'm somebody who could have really done with a food strategy about 5 years ago in my local town. Somebody who could have really done with a lot of things that were either missing or were well-intentioned but completely missed the mark, or were great food projects but were inaccessible. Quite often I'd get leaflets in the local children's centre about cookery courses, but they were at times when you couldn't make it, or they were in language that I didn't understand, and I'm fairly smart, but saute this and, simmer that, to me, I didn't get it, and it felt inaccessible. So I went home one day and I started writing a local recipe blog, using tins, using stuff from Sainsbury's Basics value range, because basically that was all I had. And suddenly readers flocked in their thousands. People liked it, people enjoyed it, people said they needed it, people discovered it, they responded to it, and here I am. And over the last few years I've been involved in lots of stuff since then. I've helped I helped consult for the school food plan, I helped set up the first People's Supermarket, I've done a lot of stuff politically with various political parties. I've done stuff with Chartwells, I've done stuff with major high street brands that I can't name because I'm being filmed. I've done a lot of work, but I still feel like there's something missing. I still feel like there's something that isn't being done, and I've ended up back here, back in my own town, wondering what it is that is missing, what it is that we could be doing. I'm not very articulate, by the way. I write a lot better than I talk. I've ended up having lots of various meetings around the town with lots of various people all scratching our brains, thinking, what can we do, what can be done? And ideas that we've thrown out is things like Incredible Edible. So I don't know if you've heard of Incredible Edible. It's a project in Todmorden in Yorkshire. And all the plants in public spaces gradually were replaced with edibles. So the spiky succulents in the town centre became rosemary bushes. New trees that were planted along dual carriageways were apple trees and pear trees and fig trees. People were given seeds to grow on their windowsills. People were handed out things that were suitable for their climate, suitable for their local area. And then suddenly, instead of food being something that's wrapped in a package in Tesco's, food is something that's literally grabbable, touchable, snatchable. It's in your face and it's there and it's free. And food bank usage in Todmorden is, of course, it's still there as it is up and down the country. But people have access to food that's free and food that's available that they might not have to queue up round the block for. They might not have to carry home in yellow bags. They might not have to actually ask their healthcare provider for. It's there and it's available. It's not going to solve all the problems, but it's such a wonderful initiative, and I helped sponsor Incredible Edible in its earliest days, and it's a huge movement. There's hundreds of different Incredible Edible towns and cities all over the UK and spreading all over the world. It's sort of my dream for Southend to be an Incredible Edible town, and all it really takes is a handful of committed people with time and seeds and conversations and willing to sort of get out there and ask the questions and do it and plant the things and tend to them and look after them and tell people that they're there. And one of the biggest things that I found when I went back to do some work at the storehouse, and on my way there walked past a load of blackberry bushes, and there's people queuing up 5 minutes down the road for food, and there's lines and lines and lines of blackberries on bushes going rotten on the ground because nobody knows they're there, or if they do know they're there, they don't know that they can just pick them. You don't know that you can just take them. You don't know that you can just have them. We seem to have forgotten that that's that's live, that's there and it's available and it's accessible, and more importantly it's free. And I'm not saying we can solve all of the food poverty issues in the town and in the country by planting a few blackberry bushes, because that would be bloody naive, but it could be a start. And one of the other things that I was involved in was the People's Supermarket with Rosie Boycott and the Greater London Authority, and it's a cross between a food bank and a Lidl, really, the People's Supermarket. It's stuff that's been mislabelled or dented or a day over its sell-by day, in a supermarket setting, so not in a food bank, being sold really, really cheaply, so for about a quarter of its retail price. It's not a supermarket for poor people per se, and we were always really keen to emphasise that. There's no shame, there's no stigma involved in being able to shop at the People's Supermarket. You've got to be it's part of a cooperative, so you've got to be a member, and to be a member you volunteer, and according to your capabilities and according to the time that you've got available. So you can either give an hour a month if that's all you've got, you can pack things in the warehouse, or you can do stuff online, or you can do their social media for them, or you can stand behind the tills, and as a result of that you get to buy things like, fruit and vegetables and pasta and hummus and all sorts of things for much, much more cheaply than you could at the supermarket. So that's another thing that could be well worth looking into and well worth setting up. And lastly, there's a lot of work that I do in food banks up and down the country, teaching people how to cook. So teaching people how to cook with what they've actually got. And that's the thing that I'm really trying to get back to the heart of, is I'm trying to be the me that I needed 4 or 5 years ago. I'm trying to just find a way to take that can of mushy peas and that can of kidney beans that some person at the end of their absolute tether without 2 bloody pennies to rub together has to take home and make into a meal for themselves and their child. And how the fuck do you do that? Pardon my language. But how do you do it? And the thing that seems missing in a lot of corporate strategies and a lot of community initiatives is actually talking to the people that it involves. My friend Juliet's a vicar, and she's a great vicar, she's a wonderful vicar, and she's got a saying that she uses in all of her work that she does. And it's about us without us, it's not for us. And I think the way to make change in a food culture in a town like Southend, where we've got some of the most deprived areas in the country, is to actually go into those areas and talk to people and ask what they've got and ask what they need. So what we need really is we need a team of committed volunteers with that aren't squeamish, that are confident, but also listeners, to go into Kersal and to go into Victoria and to find a group of people, find some community leaders, find some food heroes, ask them what they want, ask them what they need, devise a community partnership and a community strategy around the people in the town that really need it the most, and go from there. And like Vic said, it's going to be hard and it's going to take longer because people are tricky and people are stubborn and people sometimes don't know what they want, they don't know what they need. And in my own experience, when I was down on my last, at the end of my tether, the last thing I wanted was some company wagging their finger at me telling me that brown rice was healthier than white rice, or that I should really be eating more vegetables when the only vegetables I had were the ones that came out of tins. So I think there's a lot of great stuff that we can do, there's a lot of great stuff that is already going on, but I think the thing that's missing in community strategies and in food culture strategies and in all the conversations around it are the people who really, really need it the most. When I was in Tanzania with lockdown, I stayed with a nun. I'm going right off on a tangent now. I stayed with a nun called Sister Martha. Sister Martha was hilarious. She reclaimed a patch of swampland at the back of her house that all the men in the area had said to her, "That's pointless having that, you won't grow anything on it." And she was like, "Well, I'm going to give it a go." So she claimed this bit of swampland and she started to grow things on it. She started to grow banana trees and she started to grow groundnuts. And she gradually cracked out and extended her bit of swampland to the bit of land behind it, the bit of land behind it. And now she, in her own words, she has a home for fallen women. So women who have been cast out of their communities come and stay with her, and she teaches them to grow things, and she teaches them to cook, and she sets them up and then she sends them back on their way. And one of the things that really struck me about it was she said that all these women, they drink these great big 2-litre bottles of pop all the time because they're cheap and they're imported and they, and they're energetic, and they're there. And I was like, sounds familiar, because we all go shopping in the supermarket, and you can get 2 litres of Coca-Cola for 17p. Who needs 2 litres of Coca-Cola for 17p? You can't even get a banana for that. So she's taking these 2 litre bottles of Coke that these women are drinking, and when they're empty, she takes a bottle and she cuts it in half. She stabs holes in the bottom of it to make a flower pot and fills it with earth. Sticks some seeds in it, squeezes it together, and sticks the top back on. You stick it under the tap, you water it, you screw the lid on, and what you've got is quite a high tech for what it is, a propagator. With some drainage, you've got a little mini indoor greenhouse. So I thought, I'll give that a go, because Tanzania, it's nice and hot over there, everything grows over there. So I got a couple of 2 litre Coke bottles, and I stabbed some holes in the bottom, and I stuck some earth in it, and I stuck some seeds in it, and stuck the top back on, and I watered it, and screwed the lid on, and I stuck it on my window ledge, and I've got strawberries all year round. And it's something like that is such a simple project. You can grow strawberries in them, you can grow chilies in them, you can grow tomatoes in them, you can grow things that you maybe wouldn't normally be able to grow in our weird old climate all year round for next to nothing, and an empty 17p 2 litre Coke bottle that most of us throw out with our rubbish on a weekly basis. Now that's really simple, but the thing is, you can't just wander onto the Curzon estate and say, stop drinking Coca-Cola and grow some tomatoes in that bottle instead, because people are going to tell you to piss off. But you could do something that's community-led. It's a 15-second YouTube video. I think that's what all the kids do these days, isn't it? That little BuzzFeed video. I'm actually up too old and past all that now. It's passed me by. But it's just a simple instructional video, or it's a leaflet shoved through someone's door with some seeds on, or it's a community event, or it's an initiative. And what it needs is a couple of people who are just willing to give it a go. And I'm ridiculously busy, but I'm willing to give it a go. Is there anyone else here who would commit to even trying? Who would commit to even trying it out with me? All I need is one other person, and I'm not going to hold you to it, it's no obligation. I just want one other person who would try to take some sort of really simple educational thing like that out into the community. And if 10 people give it a go, that's 10 people whose cooking could change, whose interest in food could change, who could then show other people in their communities. All you need is just one other person to take it on, and we could change an entire community. And it's things like that that, to me, I think they're so simple and they're so basic. We don't need a great big strategy about it, we just need an hour and a half and a couple of Coke bottles. And if you can do that, then you can do anything. And I've rambled on a bit now and gone completely off topic and committed myself to something publicly that I wasn't planning to do. But it happens. But there's so much that we could do together, but we need to go right back to the people who we really, really want to help. And deep down they are the people we really, really want to help, and ask them what they want and what they need and how we can do it together. I'm going to throw it open to questions now because I'm better at that. Thank you.